Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Report with me, George Maringa. My guest is the government spokesperson, government spokesman, that is the Honorable Dr. Isaac Mwaura. We are still in studio discussing tracking service delivery. Our SMS line 22047, start with your name, where you're watching us from, followed by a question, comment or feedback regarding the program. Our WhatsApp number is also on the screen on X, formerly Twitter, at TV47 News, at George Maringa _ at Isaac Mwaura, at Mwaura Isaac 1, at government, at spokesperson GOK.
Yes.
Those are the handles where you can send in your feedback. Use the hashtag Daily Report, hashtag Power and Politics. Mheshimiwa, the president, a few months ago, recently admitted to a communications gap in his government and promising better service. How did that reflect on your department, and how are you improving on this?
We've done a lot. We even are doing now a curriculum with the Kenya School of Government. We will be partnering, for example, with the Ministry of Health from tomorrow with regards to the rollout of the SHA, Social Health Act, Chief, all of that. I think we are in an era where over and above regulation of communication, but we are in information warfare. And I think the algorithms, the data, big data, the whatever, communication has really morphed in such a manner that we are still doing catch-up in terms of the tools that we require, for example, to aggregate social media, mass media production, issues of information and disinformation.
Mm-hmm.
All of these are critical. And of course, basically, also, when we came in, so the president was really right on this one. You found that government communication, we are only less than a year old as a government spokesperson's office.
Yes.
Government communication was not doing very well, to be honest. And those who are in the state departments and ministries will tell you. So we are trying to revamp that. We made a proposal to come up with a new scheme of service, which has since been approved. My office, which I had to start from scratch, a month, 10 months ago. Now we have an establishment. We have people who have been working. But I can assure you, we've done a lot. We've done like 75 online media campaigns so far. If I don't want to mention, but most of the hashtags that you've seen as on Twitter, for example, it is my office. You will not see government spokesman there, because we have to do that. Infographics, videos, and all of that. We have to get now news or information in a way that people are ready and willing to consume. Noting very well that the concentration span is only 8 seconds. So we are continuously specializing. But yes, I agree with you. I think the information architecture in general has been way ahead. Even you, the mainstream media, have also been trying to play catch up so that you don't have a Kodak moment. So I think that is one thing that we are grappling with globally, and it is borderless. You cannot say because now we are here on TV that somebody is not watching us from the United States or in Papua New Guinea, where I used to work some times back.
Okay.
So it's a challenge of how that adaptability within a government bureaucracy that sometimes move a little bit slower.
Okay.
But we are getting there, and I think there's a lot of conversations to ensure that we adapt. And the institutions and infrastructure for government, for example, various agencies now really playing their specialized role in this whole architecture on government. So that then we are able to deliver to people.
Okay.
One of the things that you must appreciate, though, is that government information is not something you just go and blurt out there. It has to be verified. You have to get it accurately. It has to be approved, because you are not just giving your own personal opinion. And that in itself sometimes is a bit, it slows things down, because then it means people may not get it as it were. But my office has been very open to journalists through that's the pressers, through our county tours, through our one-on-one engagement in terms of questions. If you have any clarification, please reach out to us. If you want to know what government is doing, and all those kind of things. And I think we have actually raised the profile of government communication within a very short time, and we can only do better going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The issue of young people, they of course form the highest population in this country, and there were so many programs that were geared towards that in the promises by Kenya Kwanza government. For instance, a question here came in from Arnold. He says, why are they playing games with JSS teachers' confirmation?
No, I don't think that's the case. There was an issue about funding. It has since been corrected. And the Parliamentary Committee on Budget has confirmed this money allocated in the budget. It is the responsibility of the new minister, CS Badi, to ensure that there is exchequer, and that they will be possibly in the new year. We will be able to have them confirmed on permanent and pensionable basis. I got a message from some gentleman, I forget his name.
Yes.
And he was telling me he's a JSS intern, and after deduction, he's going home with only 17,000. We had to start from somewhere, because remember, we were starting junior secondary school under CBC. So it had to be that the interns are the ones who would have bridged the gap rather than staying at home. And I can assure you without a doubt, we'll be able to employ the 46,000 and hire an additional 20,000 so that we can be able to do so. But remember, for the first time in history, this is the government that has employed at a go 56,000 teachers. In less than 1 year, that time. So I think that also is a positivity of it. And the interns also should be appreciative that at least they have a job. They have a job that they are keeping, and that the government has already allocated billions of shillings to ensure that they actually, onboarded under the Teacher Service Commission.
What opportunities exist for the youth, Mheshimiwa, in this current regime, and what is the government specifically doing to address the high levels of unemployment? Where can young people turn to?
Oh, a lot. For example, those right now we are just going to take another 8,000 interns in the public service.
Okay. In
the PSIP, Public Service Internship Program. That is an opportunity. We are employing nurses, for example, in our referral hospitals like Kenyatta University. We have employed quite a number of people in the army. As we speak, by the way, in the next 5 years, there will be a retirement of about 46,000 people from the public service. All of these positions are going to go to the young people. You get the point? At the same time, you look at also innovations in terms of new frontiers of employment, like the Affordable Housing Program,
yes,
which is employing quite a number of people. If you look at, for example, the issue of the fact that the economy, looking at the big companies we have here, they are making good money. So that means the economy is actually rebounding. Look at Kenya Airways, for example, making profit for the first time of 513 million. So that tells you those are the opportunities for you look at the digital hubs. I was at RVIST, Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology. I found some 200 youth there who have made over 3 million within a very short time. Leash AI in Nakuru as well. You see the one here in Ruiru that the president has spoken about many times. So there are opportunities in digital jobs, for example. There are opportunities if you look at also, if we look at even issues of backward and forward value chain addition in the field of agriculture. So so we need not to lose hope. We also have this very robust, program for labor export. We just had a conversation with agents last week with CS Mutua on Wednesday last week, and it was very, very productive. I think over 250 agents were there. Yeah. We have markets in Saudi Arabia, in Germany, and we continue, signing bilateral agreements, for our nurses, for skilled workers, not just, housemaids and all of that. And I've seen personally how such kind of opportunities have transformed the lives of people who would heretofore would not have been able to live the kind of life that they have lived. So I think we need to be open. We need also to be self-seeking in terms of those opportunities. People are being employed when others are grappling and saying there are no jobs. You have just to be more consistent, persistent. And of course, there's also the entrepreneurial spirit that we're encouraging people to also create their own jobs so they can also be employers rather than employees.
At the same time, Mheshimiwa, there is the issue of the taxes that exist. It has been quite difficult in terms of even getting, government loans to be able to, or rather a loan to be able to come up with a business. Do you think it is as easy as it sounds? I think the issue of taxation is not necessarily a question of loan availability. Those are two issues, George. The issue of crowding out local investors is something that we need to address as a government. I have made a proposal before, but that's my own proposal. Yes.
That the domestic borrowing should also be a percentage of the GDP. That would really be good so that then you cap it, but then you externalize the debt. But the problem with externalizing the debt is that then you also have to pay in foreign currency, which sometimes, because of the market volatility, then you end up paying more than actually what you would have paid locally. Okay. So it's a tough balancing act, and that is why the government wanted to have more, revenue-raising measures to avoid borrowing, because then if you need to go back to where we were before, where banks were actually hawking loans. And then what do you mean when you hawk loans? It means that then anybody with a business idea will get affordable credit, and thereby then commercialize this idea into a profit venture. So I think that is where we need to look at.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that is the issue of taxation, but also we are trying to make the startup environment to be more friendly. So we have a startup legislation that is being processed very well, and that means that we reduce these bureaucracies. For example, now there's a proposal to ensure that if you accumulate penalties, they can actually be waived, George, so that then you don't end up having accumulated debts or all those kind of things. Okay. There's even a moratorium Kerry has been announcing, so that then people come out and then we are able to map out those who are able to pay more. So these are some of the issues that we are trying to do in terms of even business environment. Remember also, we have been ranked consecutively for 2 years as a country that with the highest money for foreign direct investment in the whole of Africa. In the year 2023, we were able to receive over $850 million. We're ahead of Nigeria and South Africa and Ghana and Egypt for that reason. So we really are a very, very fertile ground for investment. I was just speaking last week with an investor called Nectar. They are trying to produce 300 ambulances from here. There are others who want to invest in steel. There are others who want to invest in cement. So let us be positive. We have SEZs, special economic zones. We have the various economic zones across the counties that we've actually been able to launch. Like I remember being in Homa Bay at the Riwa. It's already being constructed there. There's a perimeter wall by the last time I checked. And there are quite a number of other places where we are trying to ensure that we have aggregation centers that will create jobs for Kenyans. So those are also startup opportunities for our businesses. So I think that's it. The issue of liquidity and circulation, obviously, that is one of the things that we need to look up to as a government, and we are ready and willing to engage with investors, with stakeholders, to see to it that then we give them the best premium in terms of ensuring that they do not just close shop and that they get value for their money.
Is the passport issuance process back on track?
Yes, it is. Actually, there are 110,000 that people have been told to collect. Okay. At some point, the backlog was over 800,000, my friend. Mm-hmm. That was one of the issues that I kept on addressing in my weekly presses. So I think that has been resolved to a large extent. There were some 2 machines that were to be procured. They have now been able to help in clearing the backlog.
And they have not broken down again?
No, not at all. Well, there was an issue whereby we resolved by ensuring that some of the monies that is generated by passports is retained by the State Department, and that has really isn't this whole issue backlog. Mm-hmm. PS Ambassador Bitok has done a very commendable job under the leadership of CS Kindiki, and we'll continue to improve our services. Remember, even the CS had to go there in person, and it has really made a difference. Mm. So if you have not collected your passport and it is lying idle at the State Department for Immigration, please, it's good you do so, so that then we are able to have that cleared, and also those who are applying, we are trying to ensure that we increase the speed at which then the turnaround time, so that you can get a passport in the shortest time possible. And also we are decentralizing. You don't need to come to Nairobi. There are also stations in Nakuru, in Kisii, in Embu, and what have you, so that then you are able to get it where you're close, and even using the Huduma centers across the country. Yeah.
This government, Mheshimiwa, has been accused, like governments before, of failing in civic education. For instance, funding for IEBC, public participation, especially on the matter of civic education. How is your office or this government trying to address that, so that then it is not a perennial issue year in, year out?
Yeah, I think civic education is something that we can do. We used to have a program called K-NICE before. I myself, when I started out working, my first job was a program officer in a civic education program called Uraia. So I think we can do more, but also we need partnership with the media. The media plays a very critical role in informing the public, and it's believable of what is happening. So I think that is something that we can work together to improve on. But be that as it may, I think the challenge sometimes now is the consumption of information is very democratic. So sometimes people may not necessarily choose to consume certain kind of information because of the way it is packaged. So we also need to be more innovative in the way in which we approach our publics and ensure and know that they are also very learned and they can also source for it for themselves. And they're also not limited to Kenya alone. You know, it's global now. If you go to Google, you can Google anything. I mean, like you can be anywhere in the world at any given point in time. So I think things have really changed. And I think sometimes we are using old maps to navigate this new environment. That I can tell you without a doubt. Okay. It's like using the map of Mombasa to navigate Nairobi. So we are still stuck in the old mindset, of how things are done. But I believe that we shall get it right because necessity is the mother of invention. And I think we ourselves in government are very committed to informing the public because you cannot hide. You cannot hide this information. It is there, it's out there. Even before you know it, it's everywhere. So I think civic education is critical, and that's why we're developing the curriculum, for example, on some of the issues like integrity, but also at the same time, the general provision of information around what government is doing.
At the height of the protests, you said that there were external forces that were behind this. Is that still your view? Are these external forces still, quote-unquote, interfering with issues to do with Kenya?
You saw the president himself also pronouncing himself on the same issue.
Yes.
Please let's leave it at that because we have our own information. It has been corroborated and verified. Let us leave it at that.
Let us leave it at that. So, and how is the view, public image of Kenya to the outside countries, to other countries? How do you think we are perceived as a country?
We were doing very well before the protests.
Okay.
We will rebound.
We'll rebound.
Tomorrow, we are launching the bid of Raila Odinga to be the AUC chair at State House. And so the President of the Republic of Kenya is a champion for reform at the AU. He took over from Kagame. You saw people coming here in droves. We'll have several presidents tomorrow, for example. So I think that is something that we cannot put it down, that we have a very good international image. Our political detractors and detractors who do not wish Kenya well, both internally and externally, may have had their own issues. But I'm very glad to say that we have been able to weather the storm, and now Kenya is going to be stronger. Kenya is going to be better. Kenya will rise again. Kenya is going to provide leadership for the whole of African continent in matters green economy, in matters reform of international financial architecture, in matters of climate justice, in matters of de-dollarization and such other programs that the president has pronounced himself on. And we are going to move forward in ensuring that we have a common and unified African voice under the leadership of the president, and also now, if possible, that Raila Odinga become the AUC chairman. Oh. So we are not going to let our flag down. There are many setbacks. Even America, they had such situations in their last general election with claims of insurrection, but they are still, the one leading the world as a superpower. So Kenya is a giant in African, matters. In sub-Saharan Africa, we are actually number 3 largest economy after, Nigeria and South Africa. We will continue to play that role. We are a very critical gateway to Africa. We have UN, 2 UN headquarters for UNEP, Environment Program and UN Habitat. There are many initiatives that are here. I was working with them, with my team in the office, and we now had to partner with Microsoft. There are some of the solutions that are raking in billions from the Microsoft office here in Kenya, a very good example of what can be done. So I think we should remain very hopeful that this country can only be great and greater and will be revived, and so really that is happening, and we must believe that we can make it. That idea of thinking that because we've gotten negative publicity, just because of the protests, that then we are done and dusted, is not true. We will rise, and we are rising from the ashes, and I want to believe that all of us are ready and willing to play their part to realize a common future that is beneficial to all of us all.
Many have feared that there is lack of synergy within GOK communications, duplication of messages, some dilution of messages. Your thoughts about that?
I don't agree with that view, because we all work for the whole of government. And the president is both the head of state and the head of government. We have already told you how we are strengthening communication at the ministerial level. Just today, we had a meeting with how to do that at the Ministry of Health. Last week, we had the Ministry of Education. And you'll be seeing more and more people communicating with ministers coming out to address press conferences, PSAs as well, because we must win this war. It's an information warfare. So I believe that this government, more than ever before, is more transparent as per Article 35, Access to Information, and the Access to Information Act, to actually turn things around. That I can assure you without a doubt. Yes.
And so the university students should expect to report to school without any hitches?
That was addressed yesterday.
Yes.
I think you followed that, Judge.
Yes, we did follow.
And so therefore that is already done. We will be able to deal with the issues that they raised that are of concern. But largely, from the statistics that I have, the people who have made appeals are only 12,000. That's
still a high number.
No. Comparatively, with the propaganda that was being, spread around, out of over 130,000 who have applied, 13,000, maybe about 10%. We cannot ignore it, but it's not the crisis of imagining that so many people are missing out. So we need to be very, very clear about that. And we are a listening and learning, government. This new funding model is only being implemented for the second time. There are also issues to do with reducing the cost of the programs, so that then we don't just peg programs to be extremely expensive to the detriment of those who are supposed to be joining. So we are looking at all of that. And I think that one I don't even want us to second guess, because the president has pronounced himself on it.
The police officers in Haiti, have you received any feedback on how they are progressing? That
we are providing leadership. It is a south-to-south kind of arrangement. It has worked with us Kenyans, providing leadership that is very commendable, because we are a so-called African country that is leading even other countries in a multinational, multi-agency approach. And so therefore, I think that is a teething problem. Already monies have been signed off for dispatch. So I think it will be resolved. If at all there is any delay in whatever nature, it shall be done.
Yes. Is your job difficult? Are you finding it difficult to defend government?
I mean, George, you're asking the obvious, but it's fish into water. By the way, for your information,
yes,
maybe people don't know this, but I've had a long experience in communication. I have been a writer for the longest. I've written for the People Daily. I've written for the Star, I think, for over 5 years. I have done a radio show for over 10 years, consistently from 2013 to 2023. At some point, I was actually a radio presenter with Bahasha FM, the ones called Bahasha FM.
Yes.
Sometimes back, I have been an editor of various magazines and publications, both here in Kenya and also internationally, at the international level. I mean, really, I've done advocacy from an NGO point of view, international development. I've been actually able to start a communications department, of a state agency. In fact, my first job in government, proper job, was a principal public relations communications officer. And also, prior to that, I served in a board where I was in charge of public relations and advocacy. And I've worked also internationally in similar capacities. So in terms of communication, I can tell you without a doubt, since this job that I was given, my friend, we have actually transformed. You can see a lot of activity of government comes on. It has come from my office, that I believe without a doubt. Yeah, and you'll be seeing more of it.
Yeah.
I have a very competent team. The government spokesperson office was only supposed to have about 7 staff. But now we've been able to raise the bar. I think we are about over 50 now. And within less than 1 year, I have a good team of Gen Zs who know how to, do what they need to do and come up with good content, because we win either through regulation or content, as I said. Yeah, so I love my job.
You love your job?
Of course, yes.
And how different has it been, would you gauge, from your predecessors, and how, they have performed in the past?
I think that's not a fair question.
Okay.
But I believe for sure that we've done well so far. I mean, we are only less than a year old.
All right.
So you cannot really start judging and say predecessors. We are yet to, mark our time fully. But we have made that progress.
Yeah. So I'd like you to speak to Kenyans. You've spoken about patriotism, and you can just speak to Kenyans in just a minute or so as we wind up. On this, you speak about the deficit of patriotism. On the other side, there is a deficit of trust. Bridge the gap as well.
Allow me to speak in Kiswahili.
Please.
Wakenya wenzangu, ningependa kuwarai kwamba tuwe watu ambao ni wazalendo. Watu ambao wana utaifa, watu ambao wanaiamini nchi. Kwa sababu tukifanya vile, hatutakuwa na mambo tu ya kukosoa dola ama kuifisidi nchi. Tutakuwa watu ambao wanazingatia kanuni na sheria zetu, na watu ambao pia wanawasaidia Wakenya wenzao kwa sababu wao wana utu na ni watu kama wale wengine. Matukio ya hivi karibuni yameonyesha dhahiri shairi kwamba sisi tumekuwa na upungufu wa ile hadhi na kujivunia kama Wakenya yale mambo ambayo tunafikiri yanatuunganisha. Ikawa kwamba watu wengi wanasifia uharibifu wa mali na kuweza kukosea heshima hata mamlaka na asasi zetu za kiumma. Ningependa kusema kwa ujumla kwamba lazima tuzingatie kwamba hakuna nchi yoyote ambayo imewahi kuendelea ama kusonga mbele pasi na uzalendo na utaifa. Kwamba Mungu aliona ni vyema kutuweka pamoja, tuishi kwa pamoja jamii zote zaidi ya 47 za nchi hii yetu hii. Kwa hiyo ningependa kuwarai mimi kama msemaji mkuu wa serikali kwamba tuwe watu ambao wanajivunia nchi hii yetu, watu ambao ni wapenzi wa amani, watu ambao wana utangamano na umoja, kwa sababu Kenya ni nchi ambayo imejaa rutuba, ni nchi ambayo ina rasilimali nyingi, ni nchi ambayo ina nafasi mwafaka kabisa, mwafaka mkubwa ya kuweza kujizatiti na kujidhihirisha kama nchi mojawapo ambayo itaweza kufika upeo wa juu katika bara letu la Afrika na ulimwengu. Kenya itasimama, Kenya itainuka, Kenya itanawiri kwa umoja na uzalendo. Inaanza na wewe mwenyewe. Ikifika katika manyumbani kwetu, tukitokea katika mashule kwetu, tuweze kuwa na ule upendo. Tusirudi nyuma na tusiweze kubaki tukiwa tunauliza, je, serikali itanifanyia nini? Ndivyo, serikali ipo. Na ni wachache tu ambao wanaweza kuwa na nafasi kama mimi kwa mfano kufanyia kazi mle. Lakini hatua tunazozichukua pia hutokana na mwito na uungwaji mkono ambao unatoka kwenye umma, kwa sababu kila serikali huwa ni tunda, kama tunaweza kusema hivyo, la chaguzi ambazo tunazozifanya kwa wale ambao tunafikiri kwamba wana mawaidha ama dhana ama ruwaza ambazo ni mbadala kwa kusonga mbele kwa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo tuwe watu ambao ni wazalendo, ni watu ambao wapenda amani, ili Kenya iweze kunawiri na kushamiri, kwa sababu ni nchi ambayo sisi sote tumeiridhi, na lazima tuhakikishe kwamba hata vizazi vijavyo vinaweza kufaidi kutokana na maamuzi yetu na ujenzi ambao tumeufanya, kwa sababu tunawajali na pia kwa sababu tunajua kwamba hatuna nchi nyingine isipokuwa Kenya hii yetu. Asante sana. Asante.
Mheshimiwa, as we close up, from where you sit, is the pressure increasing or decreasing?
Which pressure?
Of your office.
No, but I mean, is
the pressure increasing?
That's a very interesting question. I don't think so. I mean, our office is very adaptable to change.
Okay.
And we've done very well.
All right.
Yes.
Asante sana. We've been speaking to Honorable Dr. Isaac Mwaura, the government spokesman right here on TV 47. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'm George Maringa. See you tomorrow.